Before we start part A here, I want to point out that there should be a pi right there. It should be 11 pi over 4. Okay. For the rest of these angles, they're angles that are not between 0 and 2 pi or 0 and 360. So we're going to actually want to find coterminal angles and then try to evaluate the trig functions. Or in other words, we'll want to add or subtract multiples of 2 pi or 360 to our angles. For instance, cosine of 11 pi over 4 should be equal to cosine of 11 pi over 4 minus any multiple of 2 pi. Okay. And you might be wondering, well, why am I subtracting 2 pi right now? Well, I'm subtracting 2 pi right now because 11 pi over 4 is bigger than 2 pi, right? Because 2 pi would be 8 pi over 4. Okay. So that means if I were to go look at my unit circle, I wouldn't see this angle there. Okay. But because we know that cosine has a period of 2 pi, again, we can take away multiples of 2 pi or add multiples of 2 pi without changing the value of the output. Okay, and so if we do this subtraction, again, it was 11 pi over 4 minus 8 pi over 4, because that's cosine of 3 pi over 4. Okay, and now I can go jump back, look at that unit circle, and see what the x-coordinate is when theta is 3 pi over 4. Okay, so let's go peek. Okay, so here it is. The x-coordinate at 3 pi over 4 is minus the square root of 2 over 2. Oh, that's the wrong one. All right, and then now we have cotangent of minus 7 pi over 3. Let's use a different color this time. But the period of cotangent is actually pi, so we can just add multiples of pi. Do we think that just a single pi is going to be enough? Let's do the math over here on the side. It's still going to be negative, isn't it? We want it to be positive between 0 and 2 pi. So maybe we could try another one. And that's still actually going to be too small, I think. I think we're going to have to do 3 pi's to get it done. Right? If we do 3 of those, then that's 9 pi over 3. Okay, so we'll get cotangent of 2 pi over 3. Okay, and we can go ahead to our unit circle, find 2 pi over 3, and do the x-coordinate over the y-coordinate, right? Because cotangent is the x over the y. So 2 pi over 3. Okay. And here is 2 pi over 3, and we're doing x over y. X over y. I'm actually going to write it right here. Just so I don't run out of room. And if we were to flip and multiply, looks like we get minus 1 over the square root of 3, or how about minus the square root of 3 over 3? Okay. And let's try out the next one, 15 pi over 2. So this is definitely bigger than 2 pi. So we're going to want to take away a bunch of 2 pi's. Let's think about how many. So 15 halves, that's 7.5, right? So we want to take away enough 2 pi's that we end up less than 2 pi. So I think that's going to take us 3 of them. Is that right? Let's try that out. So if I do 3 2 pi's, we get sine of 15 pi over 2 minus 6 pi, which if we got a common denominator would be 12 pi over 2. And so we get sine of 3 pi over 2. And I think you can remember what this one is without going to your unit circle. 3 pi over 2 was the negative y-axis. And where the negative y-axis intersects the unit circle, the y value there is minus 1. Okay? So this is equal to minus 1. Before we jump to our unit circle with this one, I'd say let's just rewrite this as in terms of cosine first. And then maybe we don't want to deal with this negative angle, so maybe we should add some 360s this time because we're in degrees. Let's go ahead and do that. How many do we want to add? Let's try 3 of them. So this turns into 1 over cosine. Let's write that a little bit neater though. Cosine. And if we do the minus 900 plus 3 times 360, that's going to give us 180. And cosine of 180 degrees. Let's go peek. You should be able to maybe visualize this one. 180, right, is on the negative x-axis. Okay. And if we're looking for the x value, that would be minus 1. So we have 1 over minus 1. Right, on a sine of 540. Again, we have a period of 2 pi, or of 360. So I'm just going to take 360 off of this. And that should be plenty. Okay. And again, 180, that is on the negative x-axis. The y value there is 0. All right, and another one. Tangent of 29 pi over 3. And if you haven't already, pause the video, try this one without me. So you might have found that the number of pi's we need to take away, right? The period for tangent is pi, not 2 pi here. So the number of those that we need to take away, though, to get 29 pi over 3 to be between 0 and 2 pi, is we need to take away 8 of them. So we're going to take away 8 pi's. And that's going to leave us with tangent of 5 pi over 3. And if you go to your unit circle, you'll see that the y value is minus the square root of 3 over 2. and that the x value is 1 over 2. And if we flip and multiply here, we'll get minus the square root of 3.